Pearce Spencer. I'm a student here at Davis, obviously. I've been accepted as a student for the 2021 graduating class at IPUI, and this is actually kind of related to that. So my presentation, well, my project in general was to create at least 2 or 3 songs with the idea of using them to get people to emote. My original plan was to use it kind of as a basis, as a stepping stone for what I wanted to do, which was music therapy and using music to heal people for whatever ailed them. And it was going fine for a while, and then my mentor, Mr. Robert Lewis, who works here, he, when it came to the questions and trying to decide which ones I should create, he gave me a valuable piece of advice by saying, try to make them as unbiased as possible. And I'm like, all right, I can do that. I can try to do that. So I tried making these questions. Didn't work out so well. That's easier said than done. Because I realized that no matter which question I asked, it would still be biased in some way. So the data would be skewed somehow. So it wasn't completely accurate. Now, within like the last 2 weeks, I've not completely changed it, but changed it from the fact, well, I've created those 2 songs actually that can be available later if you wish to hear them. And essentially now it's gone from asking people these questions to talking with you specifically, the higher-ups, about how important funding the arts is and how like music and art in general, it's important to have funding for them, and because it helps students and other things like that. So essentially how my project was created was my brother and I, and my family in general, very musically talented. My mother and my father were both in marching band. My mother was a woodwind. My father was a percussionist like I am, mostly a drummer, but I'm sort of a jack of all trades. And my brothers picked up the guitar, and now I've picked up the bass, which was one of my goals was to learn how to play it, and I finally did. And that was really nice. And essentially, just because music was so big for me in general, that's how it came to be. And overall, why it was chosen was because by making these 2 songs, I wanted to make them as kind of unorthodox, because the music that we listen to now, it's interesting, to say the least. I don't really have nothing bad to say about it, nothing really good to think of it either, but when being raised by my parents who were born late 60s and growing up during that era, I wanted to create music akin to like punk and prog rock and hard rock, bands like The Who and Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, so those kinds of bands. And that's just how my brother and I were raised, so that's kind of what we did. Going forth, the actions taken to make this project a success was actually spending the Tuesdays and Thursdays that I did with my brother. We got a lot done. In fact, the very first day I was done, I was already really good with my electric bass. In fact, after that session, he's like, congratulations, you're now officially better than the basses of the Sex Pistols. So, which is a band, a prog rock band. But it actually kind of felt good because I didn't know how good I would be. But overall, every Tuesday and Thursday I would go, we would practice, and we would just get more and more stuff done, to the point where we were done halfway in the semester. So now it was just like, okay, what can I do to like make this even more solid? How to bring this even closer up? Actually, finishing the project, like I mentioned, was done halfway through the semester. It was mostly, the other half was mostly just like fine-tuning it, re-recording if I had to, because some parts of it was kind of messed up in some places. So the microphone, you could hear some beats, like the drums, you could hear the toms more than you could hear the bass, or the snare more than, say, the low tom. So it just depended on where the microphone was placed. I've learned a lot, actually, by doing this project. In fact, to quote Galileo, he said that mathematics is the language in which God has written the universe, which I found was rather fascinating, because my dad paraphrased it by saying that music is mathematics in spoken form. Music is the language of the world, and it's mathematics. Well, he said that music is mathematics like being spoken, because it's so complex. But music follows a pattern, much like mathematics does. So that's why he compared it to that. what I hope people can learn is that, just like music, it comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I know that a lot of the music I like might not be the music that you like. So overall, I understand that everyone has their differences, but I hope that, like, I still plan on using music to help kind of heal people, and maybe people with like Alzheimer's and dementia, and hoping that, like, on a mind state that it kind of helps them. So in the end, I kind of hope it's a success. I'll take any questions anyone has. I don't care.
So you talked about IEPY and this capstone going in. So can I assume, are you going to study music therapy then?
Yeah, music therapy is a master's program at IEPY. I'm going to major in psychology to help with that, because I understand that with music therapy, you need to know a lot about your patients and what's going on in their head before you can actually help them.
Thank you.
Sean?
Do you have any songs that are like recorded as of now, like recorded?
Yes, like I mentioned that I have 2 songs that are available to listen whenever there's like a break or free time. I don't really have time to play them right now, but
Sure you
Yeah, play this one.
I mentioned was it last week when everyone was here that I had dealt them prototypes number 1 and 2, and one was vastly different from the other, but I mentioned that this week they would be completely done, which they are. They'd have their names and all of that, so yeah. John?
Okay, just like kind of a 2-part question. So what genre are these songs?
I can tell you prototype 1, which is named Miami 1985, is kind of more of like a relaxed, kind of chilled out groove. It's not really jazzy, but it's like relaxing. It's like you're on, like driving down the beach in like a Camaro with the top down, kind of. And prototype 2, which has been called Thunderpunk, is kind of more of like a, not electric, but it's more of like a punky, beaty kind of song.
Okay. And so, did you take a step away from the like prog rock?
Not necessarily. We didn't have a lot of time. I know that when we created Thunderpunk in Miami, we were more focused on making them the best we could.
Okay.
So.
And obviously, prog rock is a very complex genre with a lot of relatively complex time signatures and whatnot. So
which is one of the things that my brother and I really like, and we decided that when and if we decide to make a prog rock song eventually, that because it is so complicated, it would take quite a while. That Capstone at the time didn't really provide as much as we had hoped. We have one in the making, though.
You want to talk a little bit about your plan to implement questions in impact classes, and if you had what your plan was to do with that, and how that might, give everyone an idea of how you were trying to connect this to your future career.
Yeah. So some of the questions that I had come up with were kind of general, like, okay, listen, like, I'll tell you, listen to this song after listening to a part of it, write down kind of what it made you feel or what you thought about it, and then after telling you, like, the title of the song, kind of the concept behind it, does that change your opinion or what you thought? Was kind of one of my basic questions. I didn't have a lot of time to think of more complex ones because, as I said, trying to make them as unbiased, I couldn't really think of very complex, deep ones, but the basic one is kind of the general step in the right direction towards that.
So you mentioned that it seemed like your presentation went really smoothly. Like it seemed like you kind of knew what you wanted, and but I guess kind of in my mind, the capstone was kind of working through problems, and like kind of if you might have some snags along the way. Were there any like snags or holdups that you found that maybe you like learned throughout that process? Besides the microphone, you mentioned like re-recording and stuff like that. Personally, is there anything that you
I know that at one point during one of the recording sessions, I know that it ended horribly because one of my bass strings had snapped. It was overtuned, and I hadn't realized it then. And I hadn't had a spare set of strings. So I had to finish the song by playing on a different string and higher, so the pitch shifted from the low, like a bass should normally sound, to a higher pitched bass, and it sounded relatively the same, obviously pitch differences, but because of my low E string snapping, I had to get a replacement, and I didn't get one for several weeks, which greatly hindered the process of finishing one of the songs. Anything else? Brian?
Did it help you to get like the closer relationship with your brother that you wanted? Because I remember us.
Yeah. I know. I have 3 brothers, 2 elder ones and a youngest one. He's only 2. But I know as a child, my relationship with my elder brother was really good. He's the one that got me into video games and games such as Zelda. But my eldest brother, I hadn't seen him this lot, and when I did, we didn't really have much to connect besides video games. But I know that music was one thing that my family kind of always centers around. And so, my brother, I asked him in the first semester if he would like to be my community mentor, and I told him that this is what my capstone project is. It's going to do with music. Would you like to be my mentor? And he's like, I'm so happy you asked. I would love to. That sounds awesome. And I told him that, the basis behind this is I want to make music like we listen to with Dad, with Mom, like the stuff we grew up listening to. And he's like, that's awesome. That's what I want to do too. So that's how it started. And my relationship with my brother just went from, being somewhat good to even better. It's like I'm really close to him now. I get to see my niece and my nephew more often. And it's glad to have a better relationship with my eldest brother. So I can safely say that I've spent a lot of time with all 3 of my siblings.
I got one more random question for you.
No problem.
We've heard 2 presentations today, and I guess this goes for everybody, because I'm a teacher, and that's what I love, is teaching. And so it's one of those things where we've heard 2 presentations kind of today about teaching, right? And so and some of our 3 presentations, I guess, with Mariah's and teaching. So my question for you is so you love what you do, and you want to see arts and music stay in schools. Have you considered being a teacher?
I have thought about it. I will say when I was younger, I heavily thought about thinking of being a music teacher, specifically because of, at Garden City, I had a music teacher, Mr. Miller. He was a very, very big influence on me, and I've heard that he's retired lately, so I'm trying to find a way to get in contact with him to tell him, this is what I've done. But because of him, and because I already liked music when I was little, he helped kind of put more fuel to the fire to help with my passion for it. When I was really young, I did very heavily consider becoming a music teacher for an elementary, for a junior high, for high school. It all depended on the situation. It's kind of diminished because I know kind of the stuff that teachers go through, kind of how hard and stressful that can be. But I will say it's still a consideration. Music therapy is still kind of up there. That's what I want to go for. But should things not work out the way that I want them to, that's definitely a consideration.
Well, the young people need passionate people such as yourself to continue to deliver that love and content.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
And Mr. Cox has already tweeted that. Good job.